Hey guys, I am sort of on summer vacation right now, but that's neither here nor there. In case you were wondering why the vehicle that I'm in looks a little different, you probably weren't even wondering that. But if you were, that's why, or that's connected to the reason why. So I thought that I would say something though about with all the talk about Sound of Freedom. And the controversy and the fact that it's doing so well, and that it's gained an audience, and there's the audience is against child trafficking, which one wouldn't think would be such a controversial stand to take, and yet. Etc. and so on. So I wanted to just take this occasion to remind y'all that there's a movie with Joaquin Phoenix called You Were Never Really Here. And this is a movie that I think I've reviewed. It's a movie I'm pretty sure I've talked about on my channel, and I would recommend it to everybody who liked Sound of Freedom, or who likes the whole anti-child trafficking vibe, which should be everybody, but apparently it isn't. Apparently there's some people who are just sort of like, if you're against if you're against child trafficking, boy, you're a real weirdo. Boy, yeah. Anyhow, putting all that aside, the movie You Were Never Really Here is more hardcore than Sound of Freedom by a long shot. So if you're looking for something really based, really red-pilled, whatever descriptor you want to use, then definitely see You Were Never Really Here. Now, it's done in a way that, I don't know. It's not like it's maybe not the most accessible movie insofar as it's filmed in a manner that is odd at times, and maybe could be described as artsy, So, nevertheless, when you find out what it's about, it's way beyond Sound of Freedom. Not to put Sound of Freedom down, for what it is. As I said before, I kind of went through my whole little cycle of how I felt about Sound of Freedom when I first heard about it. When I first saw the preview for it, I was dubious. I was skeptical. I was thinking, this is going to be about child trafficking, but it's not going to focus on things like high level people at high levels and high level positions in politics and in the entertainment industry and elsewhere, actually participating in this horror, this nightmare, this crime against humanity. So I was sort of like, this is just going to be a movie where the feds are the good guys, and so forth, and it's just going to focus on child trafficking as some fringe phenomenon. And that wasn't really a fair assessment. Now, I don't think. Even though the movie, it's true, doesn't really put much, or doesn't focus on high level child trafficking to people in the in the political or social or media elite, which is what, as we know that it happens. There are stories about it. Heard of Epstein Island? you doubters, you bunch of QAnons. No, Epstein Island, that's just the tip of the iceberg, if you want to put it that way, even though it's in tropical waters, so an iceberg wouldn't really work. But the tip of the sandbar, as far as all that goes. and we know that it's not an issue of conspiracy theory. It's not an issue of I don't know, witch hunting or satanic panic or any of these other things that the mainstream media tries to construe it as. But all that said, the movie You Were Never Really Here actually does focus on high-level child trafficking, you know, and it's much more hardcore in that the main character, the hero, is a bona fide, you know, pedo assassin. Joaquin Phoenix's character is a pedo assassin whose weapon of choice is a hammer. I mean, so come on, you got to see it. I mean, how could you not want to see it? Honestly, unless you're a pedo apologist. No, I'm kidding. I'm not using ad hominem the way that the people on the other side do. But I do highly recommend it. It's a very good movie, and it does touch on this issue. And I will actually link to it below. I'll find my review of it and link to it below so you can hear a little bit more detail about it. But I just thought it would be an interesting thing to mention in the context of Sound of Freedom. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all soon.